3.2, determine without using a calculator the value of the following expression, or rather determine the value of the following expression without using a calculator. And that's the expression there. 205 multiply cos 315 multiply sine of a negative angle, sine of a negative 45 degrees all over sine 210, multiply cos 150 degrees and multiply by tan 25. So now what we are going to do, we are going to put this into action on our answer booklet. 3.2 tan 205 degrees cos 315 multiply sine of that negative angle, that negative 45 degrees. It's a sine of a negative, all divided by the sine 210 multiplied by the cos 150 multiplied by the tan of 25. This, of course, is a grade 12 question. It can be found in grade 11, of course. It can be found in grade 11 because there are no double angles there. Yes. This particular question now requires to use what we would call a reduction formula. Would say 205, of course, 205 is 180. We can say 180 plus what? 205 is 180 plus 25. So the tan of 180 plus 25 is actually that 205. Can you see? 180 plus 25 gives you 205 degrees. We are using this is the 180 plus theta, which you know it's in that the third quadrant. Then it's going to be a cos what? 315. So what are we going to use? We are going to use 360 minus what? 5 to get 360 minus 45 gives you that 315. And then the last one, the sign of course, the sign of a negative, it's actually a negative sign of a positive. So actually, the sign of a negative, it's a negative sign. The sign of a negative, it's a negative sign. Sine 180, of course, 180 plus 30, it gives you that 210. And then that is the sine 210 is made by 180 plus 30. And the cos of 150, what makes the cos of 150 is 180 minus 30. And then, of course, what makes the tangent of and then that becomes just the tangent of 25, which is not a special angle. It shall be left that way. The tan of 180 plus in that quadrant, tan is positive, tangent is positive in the third quadrant, so that's just going to be a positive tan 25 degrees multiplied by the reduction formula cos 360 minus, so cos is positive in that quadrant, cos 360 minus cos is positive in that fourth quadrant, so that's going to be a cos 45 multiplied by, of course, the minus sine 45 all divided by in that particular third quadrant, the sign is negative, so that's a negative sine of 30 and negative sine of 30, and what more multiplied by cos in that particular quadrant is negative. So a negative cos of 30. If you want, you can put this in that as well. A negative cos of 30, because in the second quadrant, cos is negative. And finally, just that tangent of 25. That just tangent of 25. You will then realize, student, that the following would then go on. The tan 25, there's a tan 25 here, there's a tan 25 there. So that tan 25 will cancel that tan of 25. The cos of 25 is 1 over root 2, but you using your calculator, of course, after being rationalized, using a calculator, the cos of 45, though it's originally 1 over root 2 when it's not rationalized, when it's rationalized, it's root 2 over 2. So then we'll have the root 2 over 2, which you have in your calculator. The sign of the minus sign rather of 45 is minus root 2 over 2 as well, all well divided by the sign of 30. The sign of 30 should be minus half. Minus half the sign of 30. If the sign of 30 is minus half, definitely the cos of 30, the cos of 30 is a minus root 3 over 2. And from there, ladies and gentlemen, you are able to find your final answer thereof and say, therefore, that and that is, of course, going to give you a negative number. The root 2 over the root 2 will give you a 2 all over 4. That's 1 over 2. The numerator will be 1 over 2. And your denominator will be positive root 3 over 4. So that in the end would give you the answer. I mean, people would say, how are you going to go there without using a calculator? Remember, you are saying whenever you change the division to multiplication, this is transposed. This is a little bit of beautiful algebra that I'm reminding you of there. And that should then give you the answer. That should be a minus 2 over root 3. Ladies and gentlemen, if you rationalize it, should you have put a calculator here, you're going to get the final answer. This is not rationalized. Of course, if you were to rationalize it, it was going to be minus 2, root 3 over 3. And that is the answer to this.